Alright, finally figured this out again. I'm gonna have to write myself directions for this. It's about 11 o'clock, so I don't want to be long. I just want to get out something that's been on my mind. Talk to you guys real quick about frustration and failure. This week, been kind of searching job markets to see what's out there and what's available from where I'm located. Sorry for the poor video quality. Again, it's 11 o'clock at night and the lighting's really not that good out here on the back porch at night. It's a pretty cool night for Texas. But got a really good opportunity yesterday for a company that I've been sort of chasing for probably, I'd say, a good 7-8 years probably. Opportunity came around first time, never really applied, never heard anything. The second time I went out after them myself. Finally started hearing back from my contact, but eventually it kind of just fell off. Another opportunity presented itself, law school, and I went to law school instead. But now, uh, since the transplant, the opportunity has come back around, and this time I've actually made some really good traction, and hopefully it'll pan out. But if you live with CF for very long, frustration and failure is going to be a big part of your life. That sounds extremely negative, but I want you to take it more as a positive and sort of think of it at a different view. Uh, Frustration and failure build strong character. So don't be afraid of it. Number one, and number two, uh, when it comes around, you have a couple choices. You can let it make you a bitter, isolated, mean person, or you can let it motivate you and teach you how to see the good in things and how to fight through the trouble and the tough times. Again, if you live with CF, it's going to be a big part of your life. So it's best that you know this up front and you actually try to get really comfortable with it. Uh, and if you're like me, uh, growing up, it was more frustration than failure up until the last several years of my life. Uh, Frustration in the fact of you're not going to be able to do everything that everyone else does that you would want to do. For me, it was sports. I've never been the best athlete, but I've always been able to run with the best. Uh, I call myself mediocre, but I've got a lot of natural physical talent as far as things like that go. I just never really applied myself because it seemed like every time I would really dig in and try to become really good, the disease would just rear its ugly head and take me down a notch. So I never really pursued it that that far. That being said, uh, don't let it discourage you. If you want to be a professional athlete with this disease, you can get online and dig up some of the athletes. I can't think of any right off the top of my head, but there are rugby players who have cystic fibrosis. There are actors who have cystic fibrosis. There are baseball players and things of that nature that have cystic fibrosis. It's not such a uh, limiting disease as it used to be, especially now. People running 5Ks and biking. Jerry Cahill bikes across the United States. Seems like once a year now, and that's incredible. For CF patients, and we need those sort of uh, goals and just examples in our life. But also don't let it discourage you from going after intellectual uh, goals as well. I recently graduated law school back in 2016. I haven't passed the bar yet, but again, it was because the disease finally took over my lungs and I had to come down to Houston for a transplant. So it's been put on the back burner for a while, but it will come to fruition. I'll force it. I'm not going to give up on it. That being said, I've went through college. Associate's degrees, bachelor's degrees. I've actually got two associate's degrees. So it's not such a future killer as some would like to think, and especially nowadays with the Orkambi and the Kalydeco and all the other drugs that are coming out, and even some that they've got in the pipeline that I've been reading about that are really promising. So keep that in mind. Uh, Being able to run with the pack still may be somewhat limiting. You always want to be cautious of infection and things like that and stay on top of your health. But frustration's going to be there. If you are more of the normal, I had back in the day what they called a mild case. So I was able to do a little bit more than some, that had severe cases. But that, don't let that stop you. Mild, severe, light, heavy, however you want to look at it, it's all the same. And if you don't take care of it, the end result is the same. So, don't let people who are having a rough time say, "Oh, well, you've got a mild case of it, so you don't suffer like I do." We all suffer the same. You may have found a way to care for yourself a little bit better, or found something that works for you a little bit better than someone else. But keep in mind, we're all in this together, and it's going to take all of us to beat this thing. So be encouraged in that. Uh, uh, you know, and don't let a no or a bad test score or a job that fires you because you've missed too many days of work, being sick, or just one of those it's just not going to work out speeches really get you down. Life happens. It's not the end of life, so you need to be able to take those no's in stride and really just soak it in, embrace it for what it is, and then set it down and walk away from it. And I can't stress that enough. Uh, Early on in my life, I was one who just I'm highly competitive, so I always really was harder on myself than probably I should have been. But what it has taught me is that failure and frustration isn't forever. It changes sometimes daily, and being able to realize and know that right now is not my future, and working hard pays off. It really does something to your emotions and your psychological self, so that you can build on that. And it seems like the more you do it, the more you find yourself doing it, and the easier it becomes until it becomes your personality. I chose to see the good in things instead of letting the frustration and the no's, you know, cause me to throw my hands up and just say, well, this disease is going to keep me, living at home with mom and dad, or I'm never going to have money because I'm constantly paying medical bills. If you have that mindset, I challenge you and urge you to change your mindset. Uh, really look at what you've got and build on it, and learn how to build sustaining things, not just something that's fleeting. Build a skill set so that you're employable in any economy, or any situation. Build an education that makes you employable, whenever, however, so that if you do get a job and you got a bad boss that just don't think you should miss any days of work, you get sick and you get let go, all you got to do is just put your application online, or maybe file it at a few companies, and you're going to be okay. You're going to get that job. You're going to make the money that you need to make, and keep insurance and that kind of thing. that wasn't so much my focus growing up. I was pushed through education into, education because of my disease. I wasn't going to be physically capable of going to work with dad, building houses every day. So that was something that was stressed to me. But the future, as far as my job and my career, wasn't stressed so much as being, everybody used to tell me, "Oh, you're going to have an office job an area where you can control the climate." I hate office jobs, guys. I'm not going to lie. I would much rather be out, slinging nails and carrying plywood than I would be sitting behind a desk pushing a pencil. But the reality of it is, I can't do that forever. So, I worked with dad growing up and building houses, and I've had the stocking jobs in grocery stores and working in factories that weren't, clean or really conducive to my health. So, I've been there and I've done that. But in the process of all of that, I was constantly trying to figure out a way to further my education so that I could one day, in the future down the line, if need be, get a job pushing a pencil and in a climate controlled environment and really be able to make that transition. It's been tough. I ain't gonna lie. Law school, I don't recommend it for anybody. I'm not gonna say that that's the field you need to go into because it's highly competitive and it's difficult. If you've got a family and you're married, don't do it. I'm just going to be straight with you. It took a severe toll on my marriage. We had a strong marriage going in, and we know how to build a strong marriage. So we come out, you know, smelling like a new penny, or looking like a new penny. I don't know how many people smell pennies, but uh, we did really good on the back end of it. Not everybody fared so well. Even in my class, there were some breakups and divorces that happened. So I'm not advocating law school here by any means. But what I am advocating is a plan, some sort of future vision that you need to build while you're young. If you're older and you stumble across this video, don't think that this doesn't apply to you as well. You can do the things you want to do and set the goals and still meet them, whatever your age is. I didn't start following my dreams until I was, 30 years old, and here I am, 37, and I've got a law degree. I mean, who would have thought that? Some, skinny white boy from nowhere, Arkansas, has got a law degree. If you was to talk to my friends, they'd have told you they was the last person I thought would ever go to law school. But here I am. So mosquitoes are out tonight. My citronella candle's not doing so well. But I just want to encourage you in that, and know that frustration and failure is going to happen. Probably more so in a CF life than average, but you don't have to be less than average with this disease or anything else. I'm 37 years old, post 14 weeks now post lung transplant, and I've got things in the works, and I'm going to set goals and I'm going to meet goals until I draw my last breath. That's just who I am. I urge you to be the same way. Be positive, be upbeat, find the silver lining in everything. It's gonna really help you out down the road if you're younger, or even if you're older. Uh, Change your paradigm. I can't tell you how much just having a positive attitude and knowing how to deal with frustration and failure uh, early on has helped me through some tough times. I know there's a lot of people out there whose personality just isn't like mine. They're not the happy-go-lucky kind of people. But it's all about choice. You have the choice, and it may just be that split second before something goes down that you have to choose whether or not you're going to do it or look at it this way or that way. Learn to recognize those instances and really make a conscious effort to focus on the good and just take the bad with it, ignore it. A lot of times, you know, uh, some people like to call their um, naysaying, for lack of a better term, constructive criticism. That's not always the case, and you'll figure that out as you get older and go through life. There's a difference between someone setting you down and telling you, "Hey, you're messing up here. This needs to be fixed," and someone setting you down and telling you, you're messing up here and this needs to be fixed, and you're just not good enough. So you'll learn the difference. You'll learn the difference between a leader and a boss. I may even touch on them in a later video or something. Uh, Learn to be a leader. I think that CF patients have a leg up when it comes to this because of our view on life. We got to grow up quick. So I think most of us are probably a little bit more mature than the average person our age. So because of the things we have to deal with and just the things we have to accept being a sick person. But I hope you stumble across this video or someone points it out to you and it uplifts you, it edifies you some. Always know that faith is involved in what I do. I'm a Christian, strong believer in God. This process has to do nothing but solidify that faith in me. And Jesus and God has been a big influence on my outlook on life. You just can't get around it. If you're not a spiritual person, become one. There's no other way. You can't go through life uh, happy without being able to feed your spirit. That's just the short and skinny of it. Uh, I've got probably 98% of my motivation and inspiration comes from the Bible and what Jesus did and what Jesus said and the things that he taught. So know that aspect's out there too. I use it more than I use inspirational quotes from Gandhi or any other uh, societal influence that's out there. You know, so know that. Again, if you find this video and want to talk about it, uh, message me. You can dig me up on Facebook. Also, check me out. You'll see most of my story in that. Again, hope this helps and gives you a little bit of hope. And we will see you next time. We love y'all. God bless.